Hi, my name is Andy Ebbs. I'm a solution consultant at OpenText, and this is a quick demo of a project I've been working on to automate the migration of live production servers, whether they be physical, virtual, or cloud, to a Proxmox environment. We've been able to do this for many years using a full server workflow, but that involves you manually provisioning target machines, one for each source, with the correct operating system on it. The purpose of this tool is to take a copy of your live system state and copy it into an empty virtual machine that we then provision automatically, disks to temporarily mount to a helper machine, and then we push data into those disks, and then we start that machine up. It's a bit similar to full server to ESX or full server to Hyper-V, which are workflows established in OpenText Migrate for many years. But this is basically the same thing, but for a Proxmox or KVM environment. I'm going to show you a couple of different servers. So first thing I've got is the page where I log in. So this is a web-based graphical user interface. I can just log into that. It does want me to change my password because I'm just using a development system at the moment. You can see I get a summary of what's going on. I've got a couple of existing jobs, but I want to create a new protection or migration job because this could be used for high availability as well as migration. I'm going to start for a fresh combination. I'm going to choose a machine, which is this Nutanix machine. So this is a machine running in a Nutanix environment. I then need to specify its IP address, which I believe is that one, and we will give it some credentials to use as well. So it should discover that server, or maybe I'll give it the wrong IP address. Let me just try a different one. It could be the password. I'll just try that first actually. What's the password? So it's now talking to an agent on that source machine and finding a bit more about it, so we can see how many processes it has and how much memory. But I'm going to tell it to create a new virtual machine in my Nutanix environment. I'll call that 205, so nothing that's been used. I'm going to call it the default name there, leave it the same number of processes, same amount of memory, although I could change those. It's got one disk, which is 100 gig, but maybe we'll make that a 150 gig disk as part of the migration, so we'll increase the size of the disk. I need to give it a network card, so I'll give it this one here. So this is just on the IP address that it will use after failover. I need to add in my Proxmox host. So I've got a few different Proxmox hosts, so to make sure I get the right one. Again, credentials for that. And also I have a helper. So the helper is basically a Windows machine running on the target Proxmox host that I can temporarily attach disks to, and then using an agent that's installed on there for OpenText Migrate, I can replicate data directly into those mounted disks. So again, I'm just going to give it some credentials, and then I can just save that configuration. And when I go next, it should now allow me to provision a new virtual machine. So just to show that in process, this is my target Proxmox environment I'm going to use. Well, I've got two replica machines that have been created, 201 and 202. You've got the jump machine there, which is my virtual recovery appliance. You could think of that as just the names I've used when I've been developing this. We're going to create a new machine in a second called 205 replica W19-Nutanix or something similar to that, but that'll get created in a second automatically by the wizard. So we'll go back here, I'll say provision machine, just taking a few seconds, there we go, but it's now created that machine. So if we go back to that Proxmox environment, we can see that machine was just being created there, and it's going to stay offline, it's going to be stopped. The next thing we need to do, again in the wizard, is we need the disk to get provisioned and so on. So what this is going to do is detach the disks from the replica machine that we've just created and mounting them to the Proxmox virtual recovery appliance, which is this machine. So if you look at this machine, it has one disk, which is 150 gig, because that's what I told it to increase the size of. At the moment, that's mounted to this replica machine, but when we move to the next step, it's basically going to mount it to this jump machine instead. So there'll be, instead of the disk you can see at the moment, will be a disk SCSI 5, I presume, and it will be 150 gig in size. It's going to get added in there. So let's do that. So it's attaching and detecting those. Well, it should be detecting and attaching those disks. I probably just need to tweak my interface a little bit here. Again, it takes a few seconds, and it's done that now. So again, if we go back to the environment, what we should see now is this now has an unused disk. It doesn't have the mounted disk anymore. And if we look at the jump machine, which is going to be my virtual recovery appliance, it's now got that SCSI 5 disk, 150 gig, which has just been mounted to it. So again, back in the interface, the next thing I want to do is prepare that. So it's detected a disk. If I had multiple disks, I'd have them listed here, and I'd be able to choose whether to not take them across or whether they're data disks and things like that as well. This one just got the one system disk. So I'm going to say prepared disk. And what this is going to do is it's going to partition that disk using GPT. It's going to create all the relevant partitions that are needed to put the system state and the recovery partition and things like that, boot partition. And once that's completed, the machine's sort of ready to migrate to. So we're going to create the actual migration job. And what this is going to do is call APIs in OpenText Migrate. And I've got the main OpenText replication console here, so I can see also what's going on in the background. At the moment, there's 3 jobs. There's one between a couple of servers for ESX to jump, so it's the same process here. This one's also using the out-of-the-box wizard to create that job. It's got another one to a Hyper-V host. I created that using this interface, but we can just ignore that one. And it's also got one for this machine, the out-of-the-box test. This is my machine I use for testing. It's a Proxmox machine. But you can see there's already 2 jobs. I'm going to that jump machine as well as this other one to a Hyper-V host, but it's these jump ones we're interested in. When I click the next button here to start the replication, that's going to talk to DoubleTake, the DoubleTake engine, the underlying replication part of OpenText Migrate, and it's going to create the job. It might take a few seconds, but there we go. It's created it. And if we look in the workflow here, we can see this job's just been created. So it's like Nutanix, so the same jump machine. So this is going to have 3 targets, one from ESX, one from Proxmox, and now one from Nutanix. So it'll do anything, whether it's physical, virtual, cloud, to this Proxmox environment. It's going to take a little while to synchronize. It's calculating things basically where it summarizes how much data needs to be sent. And we can see already half a gig of data has been sent and compression's turned on. It's probably going to take it half an hour to just synchronize this machine because it has to send the data over in the first place. Just emphasizing though that I can use any of these source machines. They're all live. So this is all happening in the background without the users necessarily knowing anything about it. So because I don't want to wait for this to complete its synchronization, I'm just going to go back to the wizard. I'm going to click complete, and I can see the different replication jobs I've got. As you can see, I've got the ESX one and the Dryad, the Proxmox machine, and then the Nutanix one that's just been created. Let's do a failover of the ESX machine. So this is my ESX source machine. We can see this on my ESX host, as in the source. So the machine we're going to use here is this one here, W19 ESX source. I can maybe just quickly log into this machine, and just need to do the control delete bits. And guest OS, send keys. Just log into this one. So what we'll be able to see here is just the host name of the machine. I've got a file on the desktop called Dave there, or maybe just change it to Andy. So that's a live source machine that's currently protected or being migrated to my out-of-the-box target, the jump machine. So we can do a failover of that. So we'll go back to out-of-the-box. We will initiate failover. Now, normally what would happen here is it would stop the source machine. I've actually set it not to do that because I have to keep restarting for my tests and so on. But normally we shut that down. It just makes sure that anything in memory gets written to disk and sent over to the target, but it's not really important for this part. Then it's going to basically move the disks from the jump machine back to the original replica machine that was created. And it will, as it's doing that, it will inject in network settings and also make the machine bootable by automating BCD boot. So this is going to interfere with that 201 machine that we can see in the host here. So you can see that's that 201 machine which is currently offline. So this is going to get its disks, which are currently unused because they're mounted to the jump machine. You can see those 201 disks there, 201, 201. They're going to get detached from jump, reattached to here, bit of coding making it bootable using BCD boot, and then that machine will get started up. So let's do that now. So I can confirm just the settings. If I'm happy with those, they should all be saved, and initiate failover. Now, normally this only takes a minute or two because really it's just detaching and reattaching disks, but obviously it is protecting a couple of other machines, and this is fairly low powered hardware within this Proxmox, so it's not going to be the quickest in the world, but we should see some stuff happening here. We'll see this machine being powered on in a second. So you can see things are source to change here. So it's one of those disks, well, both those disks now disconnected, and now the virtual machine's been started up. And then we can check in the console on Proxmox, and we should see Windows starting up. Obviously, Windows can take a few seconds to start, but I didn't actually take a note of time, but I think I'm going to be confident saying this is going to take less than 2 minutes to do a failover, and that would be the only downtime. Now, I've used this for migration. It could potentially be adapted to high availability as well, although I haven't set up a heartbeat monitoring yet. And there's a lot of work to do on the interface and so on, and just debug it and make it look a bit fancier. But if anybody's got any input, please reach out and let me know. Email address aebs@opentext.com, and yeah, hopefully we'll just wait for this machine to power on so we can just check the desktop. But that should be the end of the demo. As you can see, these other two machines are still being protected in the background, or being migrated in the background, and you'll be able to see that in the dashboard. So you can see that one's now failed over, and we've got these other two which are unknown because it's only just started synchronizing and synchronized because that one's ready to fail over if we wanted to. And yeah, my Proxmox environment's struggling to start up quickly because it's doing quite a few other things at the moment. But if I now just need to log in. Yeah, so you can see I've now got a machine running in my Proxmox environment that was previously running on an ESX environment. I was able to install, configure, synchronize everything, zero downtime. It might have taken a few days to synchronize terabytes of data, but there would be zero downtime to the users. And it's only really that last couple of minutes where we've shut down the source machine and brought the destination machine online in the new environment. And having a quick look at the server name, you can still see it still thinks it's W19 ESX source. It would still have the security ID, so Active Directory would see it the same machine. If I'd given it valid network settings, it would be straight on the network. But you can also see that file at the bottom here, and the last change I made on the source. So thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions or you want to make any suggestions, my email address again was aebs@opentext.com. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.